Okay, we start in Shavasana in order to come into a state of being rather than doing. So with that intention, just allow your body to drop down in response to the pull of gravity. Scanning your body, noticing where you might be unconsciously engaging muscles. And inviting these areas to soften and let go, even just a little bit. Notice the river of breath as it moves through you. Notice any thoughts and emotions that might be moving through you. Going deeper still to look at more subtle sensations, tingling, pulsing, vibration. Kind of spontaneous prana. And let's bring awareness down to the feet. So often our main connection to the earth. Notice if one foot dangles or drops out to the side more than the other. Feel your toes, feel the bottoms of your feet. Notice which parts of the heels connect to the floor. And then just like energy traveling up from the earth through the feet into the legs and the hips, let your awareness travel up through the feet and into the legs and the hips. Notice which parts of the calves connect to the floor, how the knees are pointing. If there's any space between backs of the thighs and the floor, or if they're really securely connected. Awareness drawing up into the hips, the pelvis. Notice that the pelvis tilts a little to one side or the other. How the sacrum connects to the floor. And begin our movement inquiry with a sacroiliac release. So this is our heel reach. And you can orient your toes of one foot to point up toward the ceiling or even towards you. So flexing the foot as you push your heel away from you to, in effect, slide the back of your leg away from you. Pausing at the end range for a moment, and then let that leg be completely relaxed and do the same thing on the other side. Toes point up or toes pull toward you, dorsiflexion. As you push through the heel, try to slide the back of your leg away from you. pausing at the end range for at least a moment. And then letting that leg and foot relax and continuing to alternate at your own pace here. Feeling how the sliding of the leg away from you might bring up a stretch through the back of the leg, from the ankle all the way up to the lower back. Notice how this creates motion in the hips, and the whole pelvis. Let's spread the toes as we slide the foot away, spreading the toes wide. Even the sense of spreading the soles of the feet, the skin on the bottoms of your feet, spreading. And then let's relax both legs and just feel the breath moving through the body. Interlace your hands underneath your head. So head is heavy in the cradle of the hands, and arms are as heavy as is available for you. Your shoulders might disagree or have a different idea, so you just do the best you can. So we're going to combine that SI release with what we call the side scrub. Same side, elbow and heel slide away from each other. Let's do the movement on the inhale, and then relax the leg and bring the upper body back to center with the exhale. It can be a constant, steady flow here. You could pause at the end range and let the breath continue to flow. You could look toward the overhead reaching elbow. Directing your breath to the places where you feel the most resistance. After your second side, whenever that is for you, can release your arms down alongside your body. And feel your breath here, maybe particularly in the sides of your torso. Let's plant the feet on the ground. And then this will be a kind of a side bend for the ankles. So the knees stay pointing up toward the ceiling for the most part. We'll rock to the outer edges of the feet and lift the arches of the feet away from the ground. And then try to lift the outer edges of your feet away from the ground and send the inner arches more toward the ground. toggling back and forth a few times. Soles of the feet kind of face each other. And then soles of the feet turn away from each other. Let your feet come to rest flat on the ground. Knees are still bent. And then we'll lift the toes and the soles of the feet and kind of dig the heels into the ground. And then lift the heels, rocking to the toe mounds and the toes. Back and forth. Let the feet come to rest flat on the ground, knees still bent. Bring your arms into cactus. If that works for your shoulders, you can go more to a T if that doesn't work for our spinal undulation. So with your exhalation, rock toward your tailbone, make this gap between lower spine and the floor. And then exhale, root the lower spine into the floor. This is a breath-driven movement here. You can try to articulate through each of your vertebrae. Let's lift the heels as we arch to the back bend. So toe mounds and toes stay down. And then when you press the spine into the floor, press your heels into the floor. Lift the soles, the toe mounds, and the toes. Arching the back, the heels rise. Rooting the back, the heels dig in. Gradually return the feet so the feet are grounded. We'll keep the right foot planted and slide the left leg straight. And let's open right arm to a T. Left arm can go alongside your body if you like, or it can stay, they can both stay in cactus or both in T for unwinding, rocking to the inner edge of the right foot to swing the knee across to the left. And then leg points up, foot comes back to the ground. You could do the movement on the inhale, adding more arch to your back, maybe more through the mid spine, upper spine. Let's really activate the feet here. So push off the inner edge of the foot, spread the toes, and flex the toes. Always allowing for spontaneity in this practice. So you might want to go slower or faster or pause. See what inner wisdom is guiding. See what your intuition has to say about the movement and how you might vary it. A couple more times on this side. And then whatever it fits into your flow, you can plant your left foot and straighten your right leg. And then we'll rock to the inner edge of the left foot to bring the knee across the midline with the inhale, and then exhale back to center. Maybe bringing the back bend more into the mid toward the upper back. That might actually feel better if you're feeling it all in the lower spine, might be a more even distribution. And really activating the feet in this movement. So pushing off the inner edge of the foot, spreading the toes, and flexing the toes. And then from here, we'll slide both legs straight. Bring your arms down alongside your body. And notice what you notice. Let's keep the legs straight on the ground, pointing the toes up. So it's kind of like a supine mountain pose on your back. If it feels right for your body, you can bring the feet closer together, but they don't need to be. Like for me, I really like about hip width apart. And now let's point the feet and then flex the feet. See if you can really roll through your feet to transition. So to flex, first flex the toes, and then work through the soles of the feet, eventually pushing through the heels. Like if your feet were on the floor, it's like you'd be peeling them up and down or peeling from toe to heel. Let's continue with this movement, but one foot flexes while the other points. It's technically plantar and dorsiflexion, but point and flex is just easier to understand. So one foot points, the other foot flexes, articulating through the feet. Great, and then from here, just let the feet relax. Notice any tingling or maybe more of a feeling of liveliness through your feet, your ankles. Let's plant the feet again, about hip width apart, relatively close to the sitting bones. Interlace the hands underneath the head for our second spinal undulation. Inhale to arch the spine away from the floor. Press the arm bones down. Exhale, press the spine down, lift the head, squeeze the elbows toward the knees. So hands are right at the base of the skull, not under the neck. Elbows squeeze together on the exhale and open wide on the inhale. Adding the foot movement as you inhale, lift your heels, rocking toward the toe mounds. Exhale, dig the heels into the ground and curl up. Going slow enough so that you can really wave through the spine. Wave or undulate. One more round. Then you can bring your feet to the ground, knees still bent, arms out to a T. Maybe separating the feet a bit wider. Windshield wiper knees side to side. Let that bottom leg really drop all the way. Let's incorporate the same foot actions as we have been, pushing off or digging the inner edge of the foot into the ground, flexing the toes, spreading the toes. Rotate your head opposite the direction the legs go. And then when you come to the inner edge of that one foot, just a little bit, try lifting that heel off the ground. So you're pushing more with the toe, with the inner ball of the foot. So we're just lifting the heel a little bit. And gradually make your way back to center into the full release of Shavasana. Noticing the subtle movements of prana inside. Please roll onto your belly. Let's stack the hands and rest the forehead on the hands. Tuck your toes under, walk your toes toward your knees, and push through your heels. And then kind of dig your toes into the ground like your feet are in sand. As you extend through the ankles, press the tops of your feet into the ground. Let's go back and forth a couple more times. Tuck the toes under. See if you can spread the toes here also. Spreading the bottoms of your feet vertically, horizontally. And then as if in sand, digging the toes into the ground. So we flip the toes to untuck and press tops of the feet down. One more time. Tucking, stretching, spreading. And then digging to re-extend, pressing tops of feet, tops of ankles down. Okay, from here, let's tuck toes under once again. This time we'll take hold of the elbows, drive the elbows into the floor, and lift up for our cobra variation. Untuck your toes. You can just let the feet relax, bring your head down. This time, let's press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Elbows a little bit or a lot forward of the shoulders, but enough so you can lift up into your spinal extension. Create lots of space for the neck by moving the shoulders down the back. Lots of energy through the legs, actively rooting through the feet. Lower down, relaxing completely. And then one more time, you decide if you want to tuck the toes or press tops of the toes flat into the ground. See what you could use more of maybe. Rising up, dragging the navel forward and up toward the chin. This time as you lower down, you can slide the elbows apart so the hands stack and the forehead is on top of the hands. Let's keep the head down, bend the knees so the feet are airborne. And then we already did this similar shape or similar movement on our backs. So the legs aren't really going to move. We're just going to side bend the ankles. So stretching outer ankles by directing soles of the feet toward each other. And then opening inner ankles, send the soles of the feet away from each other. Really isolate this through the ankles as best you can, back and forth or side to side. And then feet back to center, legs still airborne, point and flex. Let's keep the feet flexed. Take hold of the elbows. Root down through your arms, lift your chest. Move your shoulders down your back. Notice if one hip is rooting more than the other. See if you could even it out. Let's lower down, let the elbows slide apart, stack the hands, head down. You could separate the knees a little wider. We'll brush one foot from the ankle all the way down to the knee of the other leg, or as far as you can go. So that foot, the leg that's being brushed, can move to help the brushing action. So brush down, brush up. Okay, and then bring the knees back in so they're about in line with the hips. Feet are still airborne. Flex the feet, really spread the bottoms of your feet. And one more time, we'll take the elbows. So it's like a sphinx bow hybrid. You can try pressing the front of your pelvis down. You could try pressing the tops of your thighs down. See how it feels. Sending energy from the knees up through the feet. And as you lower down, release the legs. You can tuck one arm underneath you and roll onto your back again. Let's slide one leg to Baddha Konasana. And then slide the leg straight. Alternate legs. Leg is so heavy. The next time one of your legs is in this bent knee shape, let's just stay here for a moment and really let gravity move through you. Observing. Slide the leg out straight. Same thing, other side. Knee is bent out to the side. Gravity moving through you. Observing sensation. And then slide the leg out straight. Let's bring the right knee in toward the chest with the help of the hands. You can stay right here, or change the shape to happy baby, half happy baby. Some of you might hold the foot with both hands, drawing the knee down, sending energy through the left leg. And if you can, have your pelvis be neutral, pelvis level. So if the pubic bone is really up relative to your hip points, maybe you can move the pubic bone away from you so that this triangle of your ASIS, your hip points in the front of your body, and your pubic bone are all level. For some of you, it might make more sense to plant the foot to find that. This is just a possibility for exploration, for inquiry. If it doesn't make sense, you can just ignore it. Release the leg. Bring the left knee in. Stay here or make the happy baby shape, Ananda Balasana with the left leg, drawing the knee straight down. Notice if your pubic bone is tipping up relative to the front of your pelvis, relative to your hip points at the top of the pelvis, and see if you can move the pubic bone if that's happening for you so that this triangle is flat. So it's essentially a more neutral pelvis or a more neutral spine, both really. Release the leg. If you're working with a belt, you can grab your belt and maybe have your block handy as well. Let's take the belt around the right foot. See if you can get it around your heel. Stretching the leg up toward the ceiling. So here too, you might experiment with that same kind of triangle table. So you've got your two ASIS, your two hip points in the front of the body, and your pubic bone. And when we draw the leg in, oftentimes the pubic bone will rise up to get the leg in closer. But maybe we could be content with the leg not quite as close and the pelvis more level. So moving, if that's happening for you, it's almost like you end up arching the back a little bit more, but maybe think of it instead as coming from the pelvis. So the pubic bone moves away from you until it's level with the hip points. That creates for me a little more arch or a little more gap between the lower spine and the floor, and then hold that action or that position and then bring the leg in. Rooting through your downside leg. Spread the toes, spread the bottoms of your feet. And then one option here, we're going to take the right leg out to the right, but you might want to try block underneath the outer right hip. So it's right up against the outer right hip. And then we open the leg out to the side. This will help keep the pelvis level from side to side. You might check in again if the pelvis is kind of curling up, pubic bone curling up. Uncurl so you're neutral, relatively flat here to the front of the pelvis. You could try externally rotating right leg a little bit more, inner thigh rotating outward toward the ground. Downside leg, your left leg, a little more internally rotated, inner thigh inwardly down toward the ground. Bring the leg back up. Let's pop the belt off. And switch legs. Belt around your left foot now. Try to bring it around the heel. Doesn't have to be in a loop. I just like it in a loop here. Okay, and then notice if this inquiry is interesting for you, if the pubic bone is higher up relative to your frontal hip points, I'm gonna uncurl. You can think about uncurling the tailbone to create a more flat front of the pelvis, holding that position, then drawing the leg in. Leg's probably not gonna get as far in, that's okay. And if you'd like to use the block, I go the low setting, wedging it right up against the outer left hip, holding the belt in the left hand, opening the left leg out to the left. I've got this real strong support that prohibits me from tipping my body weight over to the left. You could just check in again, check to see if you're level here. Noticing your patterns, noticing your habits. Knowledge is power. Maybe externally rotating the left leg a little bit more. Inner thigh rotating out. And internally rotating your right leg, your downside leg a little more. Inner thigh rotating down, inward, inwardly rotating. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can pop off the belt, set it aside, bring the leg back to center, bring both knees in toward the chest in Apanasana. Feel free to find a little movement. And then whenever you're ready, slide the legs out straight, resting in Shavasana. When you are ready to move again, you can bend your knees and roll to your side and come into child's pose. Stretch the arms forward and drive the hips back. Let's rise up to all fours. Wrists right beneath the shoulders. Spread through your fingers. And root through each finger. Thumbs, index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers, pinky fingers. Find a little external rotation, a little inner elbow, the elbow creases, rotating slightly forward. And then just a little softness between the shoulder blades. So we're not sinking, we're not lifting, we're in that middle place. From here, we'll try to keep the pelvis still. And it's really a slide more than a lift. Sliding one leg back. And then sliding it back to where it was. Alternate, keep pushing the floor away with your hands, rooting evenly. Slide the leg back. And then slide the leg back in. So we just want to be mindful that when we slide the leg back, we're not coming off center, the hips not rising at all. If you were to put a block on your sacrum, it wouldn't fall off. Alternating just a couple more times. Back of the head moving up toward the ceiling. Keeping that slight bit of external rotation in your arms. It's going to fire up the arms a bit more. Good, and then after your second side, let's just flip the palms to face up. Fingers point away from you. And maybe a little shift forward to stretch the wrists and the forearms. From here, you can take your blanket off of your mat. And we'll come up to standing in mountain pose. Okay, let's bring awareness down to the feet. Spread the toes. Sense your weight in the four corners of your feet, balls of the feet, baby toe mounds, inner and outer heels. You might have to shift a little to equal that out. And then a little bit more back into the heels. Soften your knees so they're not pressing back or locked. And see if you can soften the quads. Spine rising from the ground of the pelvis. Crown of the head reaches up toward the ceiling. Vrikshasana, tree pose. Transfer your weight into the left leg, so there's a rooting down energy and also a drawing upward energy. You can come onto your right toes, turn the knee out to the side. Maybe the foot stays partially on the ground. Maybe the foot comes up. See if you can bring it up on its own first, and then you can just put it there. The hand can help it there. And hand can come to heart center or be out wide or stretching up toward the ceiling. So for a lot of us, the tendency is for that hip to kind of sway out to the side. So we are pressing the foot into the leg, but we also want to press the leg into the foot. So we have this Tadasana, this mountain pose line. Steady breath, steady gaze. You can try taking this knee further back, but keeping both hip points directing forward. Returning to Tadasana, mountain pose. Directing your awareness to your right foot now. Make sure your toes are spread. You've got a good solid base of support. You can come onto the big toe, turn the knee out to the side. Maybe the foot stays partially on the ground. Maybe it comes up. Hand can help. Hands maybe a prayer or out wide or stretching up. It's up to you. Foot presses into the leg, but not so much that the hip pops out to the side. So we bring this right hip in and underneath you. Hips shine forward and the knee can go back. So it's kind of like an opposition action. And calmly returning to Tadasana, mountain pose. Okay, let's come to the top of the mat. Stretch your arms forward and then really reach your arms forward and then bring the arms up alongside the ears. From here, let your hips move back and down into chair pose. So I'm not trying to stay upright in the torso. As the hips go back, the torso comes forward. Into a chair pose. From here, you can keep your knees bent, bring your fingertips to the ground. Let's step the right foot back and lower the right knee down directly underneath the right hip. So it's a short lunge, can rise up, hands can come to the hips or rest on the thigh. Let's try to isometrically draw this front foot back. So it's not actually going to move, but that's the intention. And engaging your back glute or your right glute if you stepped your right foot back. So you squeeze it if it's soft. From here, option to tuck the back toes under and lift the back knee off the ground. If you want to kind of wiggle it back, you can. You can continue to experiment with this isometric drag back of the front foot and keeping this back glute turned on. If you want to work the back foot a little bit more, really spreading the toes on the floor and bringing the foot more, the sole more vertical. Let's bring the hands back to the ground, step the back foot forward, and then we'll just step the left foot back, second side, lowering the knee directly beneath the hip. So we've got this 90-90 position pretty much. Coming up. Isometrically dragging the front foot back and turning on your back glute, your left glute. Option to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee off the ground. You can wiggle the foot back a little more if you like. Keep drawing this front foot back and engaging your left glute. Hands touch down, step the back foot forward. Let's come back into chair, Utkatasana, arms alongside the ears. And then rise up and release your arms down. Great. Extended hand to big toe or Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. You might want your belt. Same shape we already did on our backs. Now we're adding the element of balance. Okay, so let's start with the weight strong in the left foot. Toes point forward, toes spread. If it's easier for you, you can get down there to get the belt around the foot rather than bring the foot up and then fiddle with the belt. That's completely up to you. We'll draw the knee up. If it's your right leg that's airborne, let's hold the belt with the right hand. You can bring your left hand to your hip. Some of you can hold your foot if you would like instead of the belt, extending the arm forward. What we want to avoid is not using the belt and then kind of having to round the spine to get the foot. So the belt helps us maintain our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Got the legs straight ahead. You could bend your standing leg for a moment if you've got the ability to kind of play with a little bit, and then re-extend, rooting and rising a little bit more. Spine rising tall, crown of the head up toward the ceiling. If you're really struggling with balance, you can skip the belt and hug the knee in. Let's release so we're on both feet again. Second side, starting with your foundation, which is now the right foot, that the toes are spread, that we're rooting through the toe mound, and especially the right big toe. It's got to stay on the ground. You can either bring the foot up to get the belt around, or the foot's still on the ground, get it on there. So you don't have to fiddle with it and balance. We rise up, you can bend the knee, and then extend the leg out in front. If you can play a little bit within the balance, you can bend the standing leg. And then when you straighten, go slow, really root down and really rise up. When you're ready, releasing with control. And then we'll come to a wide stance. A Prasarita Padotas for Prasarita Padottanasana. So we'll do A and C here. You can begin with your hands on your hips, really feeling your connection to the earth, spreading the toes. And when you're ready, fold forward and bring your hands down to the ground or to blocks if you have to round a lot. You have to round excessively to get your hands to the ground. Bring the ground to you. Let's bend the knees for a moment. So we're in this kind of froggy shape. And then as you slowly straighten the legs, root more through the outer edges of your feet and have this feeling or visualization of drawing up through the inner seams of the legs from the ankles all the way to the pelvic floor. You could bring your head down, maybe to the ground, maybe to blocks. Back of the neck is long. We don't want to use, see it very often, the block really compressing the back of the neck. So back of the neck long, you can just kind of let the head hang and then see what height you need to create to ground to. Let's come up about halfway, arms straight, hands under the shoulders. Pour down into your legs, bring your hands to your hips and rise all the way up. That's it. And then interlace your hands behind your back. Spread your collarbones away from each other and fold forward once again. Let's bend the knees. Same little inquiry here, bend the knees. And then slowly straighten the legs, root more through the outer edges of the feet, and feel or imagine this drawing upward through the inner seams of your legs from arches to inner thighs. This time, if you're able, we'll come straight up. You can bend your knees to help that transition all the way up. Release the mudra. Bring your feet in underneath your frame to touch into Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. We're going to take a wide stance once again, this time for a triangle. The right toes turn out. Let's bring the right arm out in front of you. Let your hips rock back as you reach out over the right leg. And then bring your hand down, maybe to a block, inside or outside the front foot. Before you stretch up through the arm, turn through your ribs. Then you can stretch up through your arm. Or if your shoulder doesn't really like that, hand on the hip, drawing the shoulder back, drawing the elbow back. Head in line with the rest of the spine, regardless of if you're looking down or straight ahead or up. Okay, from here we're coming into Ardha Chandrasana, our balance in half moon. If you want to challenge yourself more, you can keep the arm up through the transition. If you feel like you need some help in your balance, bringing the hand back to the hip. Bend into your right leg. If you're using your block, You can make it more accessible by bringing it out in front of you and off to your right. More challenging, right directly in line with the front foot. Okay, and then we'll find our balance on the right leg, turning the ribs up toward the ceiling. And hand can stay on the hip or stretch up, just like for triangle. Head is in line with the rest of the spine, regardless of which way you're looking. Activate your feet. Okay, to come out, you can look down, soften your right knee, land your left foot. If you only have one block, take it with you. We're shifting over to triangle on the left side. So left toes point straight ahead or turn out a little bit. Make sure you adjusted your back foot. You're not leaving the toes behind the heel. Let the hips rock back, reaching out over left leg. Bringing a block to the inside or outside of the foot. And then make sure you rotate through the ribs before you stretch through your arm. Or hand staying on the hip. Head in line with the spine, so we don't want to drop the head, we don't want to lift it too much. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Can make it harder, keeping the arm up as you come into the pose, or make it more accessible, hand to the hip. Block off to your left, more accessible. Block in line with the foot, more challenging. Coming up to find your balance. Rolling the ribs up toward the ceiling. Maybe extending through your arm. Activate your feet. Looking down. You can bring your hand down and then the foot down. Rising up. Bring feet under frame. Coming back to mountain pose at the top of your mat. Sweep your arms up alongside your ears. Bend your knees into chair. Plant your hands and walk right back to downward facing dog. Spread your toes. You can see if you might be able to lift your toes off the ground. And then lift the heels off the ground. Lift the toes. Lift the heels. And let's do this one or two more times. Watch your feet while you're doing this. Notice if you're rolling to the inner or outer edges of your feet, maybe avoiding tight spots. Maybe smaller range of motion that doesn't avoid the resistance. We don't want to push through the resistance, but maybe nudging it a little bit. Great, and then from here, we'll lower the knees down. Let's come into a wide knee child's pose. So big toes touch, knees out wide, hips back toward the heels. And let's go right into side bend over to the left. Send your hip, your sitting bone more toward your right sitting bone, more toward right heel, and really work on stretching right arm away from you. Breathe into your right side of the lower back especially. Let's take it over to the right. Stretching especially through your left arm. Bring your left hip, left sitting bone more toward left foot. Breathe into the left side of the lower back. Come through center. Push the floor away. So hands are kind of isometrically pushing forward. Hips dragging back toward the feet. Really breathing into back body here. Okay, from here we'll rise up and set up for one of three different suggested inversions. So supported bridge with the legs up to vertical, or Viparita Karani, legs up the wall, or supported shoulder stand. So if you already know those shapes and where you want to go, you can go right in. I'll show a supported bridge and then I'll show legs up the wall. And if you know shoulder stand, you can come into it. So for supported bridge, we start with the feet on the ground. We lift the hips and place the block underneath the sacrum. So it's not underneath the fleshy part of the buttocks. It's not underneath the lower back. It's that triangular bone between the two. Okay, you've got lots of options here. You have three different settings on the block. You could stay here with your feet planted, or you can stretch your legs up to vertical, breathing here. So our emphasis in class was the feet, so you can really spread through your toes and spread the bottoms of your feet. And be here, or for legs up the wall, this is more restful. Viparita Karani means the great rejuvenator. For this, if your ground is hard, you place your mat up against the wall. Want padding. Short edge of the mat up against the wall. This is like the basic bare bones version of legs up the wall. You could add props. It's a little awkward getting in, so you start sitting as close to the wall as you can, one hip right up against the wall. And then as you lay your upper body down, keep scooting your sitting bones toward the wall, and then swing your legs up. So for this pose, I wouldn't activate the feet, we just let them rest. I'm resting here. If you're in shoulder stand, you might like to practice Halasana, plow pose, and Karnapadasana, ear pressing pose. So we'll take just about 2 or 3 minutes for your chosen inversion. Breath is in the foreground of awareness. If you're in supported bridge, feet plant, hips rise, removing the block and rolling through your spine to come down. If you're in legs up the wall, you can bend your knees and then roll to your side. And then press yourself up. And coming down of whatever inversion you've been in and lying on your back one last time in Shavasana. So it's more relaxing for the hips if the feet are a little wider than the hips. If you get lower back discomfort, you can put a blanket under your knees or a bolster under your thighs. Or you can also plant your feet and kind of tuck your tailbone under to lengthen through your lower back. And then re-extend through your legs. Arms rest by your sides. Some folks like to tuck their shoulders kind of down and under to open the chest. Making any other adjustments so you can be comfortable and rest in stillness. And coming back into the river of breath. And when you feel like your body is awake, you can gently and gradually roll to your side and come on up to a seat. Take your time. Bowing head to heart and hands with gratitude for this precious human existence, for this day, for each breath, for all that your body can do. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Thank you.